The National Association of Realtors in the United States just announced on Friday, March 15th, a big settlement eliminating certain rules on commissions. In this settlement, there were several changes that were made, but two main things did stand out. The first one, the realtor on the selling side will no longer be allowed to advertise how much commission the seller is agreeing to pay the buying realtor. This could definitely be a positive change, as I know for a fact that some realtors do sway their buyers away from showing a property where the seller is paying them a lower commission. And the second one, the seller will now only have to pay commission to their listing realtor, where in the past they would have had to pay both the buying and selling realtor. Currently in Canada, commissions are negotiable, meaning that a seller decides how much commission they want to pay. However, the argument in the lawsuit was that a standard commission fee was expected and that home sellers felt that they would lose buyers if they didn't offer that standard. Another argument that home sellers made was that the cost of the buyer's realtor's commission should be paid for by the buyer, who is in fact the one receiving the service. This settlement completely changes the model on how realtors get paid, and going forward, they will now have to pitch their services to a buyer the same exact way that a selling agent has to pitch themselves to a seller. I have a lot of thoughts on the matter, as over the last few days I've read hundreds of comments where buyers agree with the lawsuit, as they think that now, since the seller is not having to pay the buying realtor, they can sell the house cheaper. But I strongly disagree, because whether a seller has to pay one realtor or both, they will still want to sell for what they consider to be market value, meaning that buyers will not be saving anything. What will happen now, though, is on top of buyers having to pay their initial down payment and closing costs, such as lawyer fees and land transfer taxes, they will have the burden of paying their realtor, which will make buying even more difficult, as many purchasers are just barely squeaking into the market. Where I see the biggest problem is that you will now start to bring discount realtors to the buying side of the transaction. And for those of you who don't know what a discount realtor is, they are basically realtors who will charge you a fraction of what a typical realtor will. And as you guessed it, in many cases, you are also getting much less service, experience, and value from them. If you end up having realtors not caring as much because they're getting paid a lot less, the quality of realtor will go down even further, resulting in the public getting very poor representation. This will ultimately cause a lot of problems. If I had to say one area where I think real estate needs a revamp, it's in the way that realtors are being educated. I personally think that the entry bar is way too low, and that a realtor should be expected to have a lot more knowledge than they do in order to adequately represent a buyer and a seller. I think that what angers many people is that there's so many successful, unreliable, and unprofessional realtors in this industry who really don't deserve that success. So it's a profession that receives a lot of hate, and it's definitely for good reason. The reality is that some realtors are just not qualified to help anybody. A real estate transaction is a very important life decision that can hinder you financially for the rest of your life, so you need to take it seriously. Getting your real estate license should definitely be a lot harder, where they go into more detail. This would definitely make a lot of realtors more knowledgeable, which would ultimately be what's best for the public. But in order to do that, we need to be better, and we need to educate them accordingly so they cannot make these mistakes. So this settlement will definitely shake things up in the US and possibly in Canada, but I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below. Do you think this is going to be a positive change for the Canadian real estate industry if it happens? Comment below. Thank you for watching.